HarperCollins and HarperAudio present Bogie and Bacall, the surprising true story of Hollywood's greatest love affair, by William J. Mann. Read by Todd Mclaren. For TDH. Preface. New York City, late February 2005.
"Let's have the café floor today, shall we?"
asked Lauren Bacall, grandly laying down coasters from the fabled Parisian coffee house. Her maid had just brought out a cozy coffee pot and a couple of cups to the table, where Bacall sat with a writer from the New York Times. The writer thought that Bacall spoke with an actress's reflexive flourish. The 80-year-old movie star was putting on a show, as she always did when she wanted to impress a visitor. They sat in her living room, stuffed with priceless artwork and cheap souvenirs, such as coasters that had value only to her. Beyond them, oversized windows looked down on the cold, bare trees of Central Park. But the temperature in the Dakota, one of New York's poshest addresses, was just right. The Times writer had come to interview Bacall about the release of her third memoir, By Myself and Then Some, which everyone expected to sell as well as her first memoir, By Myself, some 27 years earlier. Bacall was pleased to do the interview, but when she learned that the Times was not planning to review the book, she became quite cross.
"What the fuck is the Times thinking?"
she asked after the writer left. She harshly blamed one of her managers for the newspaper's decision. The people who worked for her knew that she wasn't always as gracious and private as she was to important visitors. "She could be lovely, and she could also turn very cantankerous," said one of her agents, Scott Henderson. "You never knew which one you were going to get." The problem many news outlets were having with Bacall's latest memoir, and the reason that so few reviews of By Myself and Then Some had been published, was that the new material made up only about 1/8 of the book. The rest was just a reprint of By Myself, which the Times and countless others had already reviewed back in 1978.
"When I have a lull in my life,"
Bacall told the Times writer, attempting to explain the reasoning behind her latest memoir,
"I write, and that's fairly often."
She was continually struck, she said, by the fairy tale life she had led since she was 19.
"Who could have thought something like that could happen?"
But the Times writer noted, her words grew wistful.
"Nothing,"
Bacall went on,
"is ever as good as it is in the beginning."
Ah, yes, that beginning. Brooklyn teenager Betty Bacall becomes Hollywood love goddess Lauren Bacall. She teaches Humphrey Bogart to whistle and sets the world on fire. At 20, she marries Bogart, who was 25 years her senior and who, in the fullness of time, will be named the greatest movie star in history. Bogie and his baby live happily ever after, which means 12 years, during which time they make 4 successful, iconic films. Then Bogie dies, horribly, of cancer, and their story slips into legend, aided and abetted by Bacall herself. Her post-Bogart life is never the same, never as good. That had been a hard, cruel truth for the young widow, with another 57 years of life ahead of her.
"With all the great luck I had,"
she told another interviewer,
"to have that in my life early on, you know."
Her voice trailed off until she found her words.
"For the rest of your life, you just stumble through as best you can."
The process of stumbling through included writing 3 memoirs. Over the previous 4 decades, Bacall had invested a great deal in shaping the legend to her satisfaction. First, she had trusted 2 friendly biographers, Joe Hyams and Nathaniel Benchley, both of whom tried to please her. She wrote the introduction to the first, and had the second dedicated to her. When what
Sample complete. Ready to continue?